Welcome to this special presentation of SCAD Beauty and Business presented by Guest and Gusto. I'm Regina Perez Corona, and I'm happy to welcome you to our fifth and final panel of the day, Future of Shopping, Beauty Retail for a New Era. Joining us in this discussion, SCAD grad and Global Director of Trends at Maybelline New York, Dominica Baird, Vice President of Marketplace Strategy at Stella Rising, Rina Yashayeva, CEO of Shielded Beauty and Beauty Barrage, Sonia Summers, and Vice President of Global Design and Innovation at Maybelline New York DMI, Oleg Zeylikovich. As we have seen during the pandemic, beauty brands have been challenged to find new ways to engage and sell to a new generation of digital shoppers. This panel of industry executives and leaders are going to discuss how they are innovating the shopping experience for the contemporary digital consumer. It looks like we are ready to begin. Moderating our conversation is Daniel Green, Chair of Fashion Marketing and Management here at SCAD. Professor Green, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Regina, and welcome to all our panelists. It's great to have you with us at SCAD today. Thank you for making this possible. I'm going to open things up. Our topic is the future of shopping and looking at the retail experience in beauty. Retail has always been a major influence on how consumers engage with beauty. E-commerce has been the looming social change that everyone tried to anticipate, but COVID solidified. So I'd like to open things up. Oleg, Dominica, what changes are you seeing in how consumers buy beauty?
Well, what we're really seeing is a huge shift that really accelerated trends from COVID. And of course, we saw with any product, not just beauty, consumers were really forced to either buy online or they were maybe going to big box stores like a Walmart or a Target. And some were even doing a click and collect where you drive up and have the items brought to you. So that really was a big disruption. And what we've seen now that things have kind of opened up, the consumers, the trend is shifting a bit to correct itself. So they are going back in terms of buying beauty online again. We do see them returning to stores. However, we're finding that the discovery journey is changing. Some of those trends are sticking. So when consumers were having to buy their makeup products, for example, online, they didn't have their traditional salespeople to help them like they would have in stores. So they really began to lean into a lot of tools online, like virtual try-ons, quizzes and things like that. And what we saw brands had to do was these tools existed, but they really had to optimize them. So, you know, the technology for virtual try-on is really becoming improved. The quizzes that you might take to determine what shades and things you might be wearing or what skincare you need, those are really becoming more optimized. So what we really see is that the journey is going to be much more holistic, where consumers are really doing a lot of discovery online, but they might be bringing that journey with them into the store on their phone and buying in person.
Mm-hmm. Oleg, would you say you're seeing similar trends in how people are buying beauty, how they're shopping for it?
Well, Daniel, I think I'm going to approach this question from a slightly different angle, if that's okay.
Sure.
I think from more of like a packaging product and packaging angle. And I think today consumers are buying beauty with the expectation of getting a premium experience from every brand and in every way, in every channel, including the look and feel of the product. So even if you're shopping for a drugstore brand with a lower price point, you still expect it to look and feel premium. And for a mass brand, it feels that you have to work that much harder to achieve it because you have to create something that looks valuable and then that stands out in the marketplace, but at a lower price point. So it has to be sophisticated, but stake out a unique visual place for your brand in a crowded marketplace. So on a basic level, your logo has to be bolder and tighter. Your product names have to be visible on social media, so on small screens. And more broadly, your product just has to look sophisticated. It can't be generic or just something that's like a throwaway object.
So e-commerce has brought the whole experience and made it put a premium on the visual quality of the packaging, the visual quality of the experience itself. It's kind of elevated that demand, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's maybe to some extent due to a convergence of all channels. So you can like instantly compare all brands, and so you expect every brand to like hold it up to a certain level, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because in an e-commerce environment, that's much easier to do, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You can just cross shop.
Great, great. You touched on something I'd like to take a little further. You talked about reviews and hearing from other people and getting other information that's available to you now in digital. Social media seems to be the way we're really managing the word of mouth kind of channel. And we can go back and look at some early pioneers like Mary Kay and Avon, who were the first to really begin to build kind of relationship-based beauty sales. But would you say that social media is the new relationship-based beauty selling, that reviews online are now very similar to that type of selling in beauty? Sonia, what do you think?
Well, that's funny that you say that because, yes, social media is basically that platform now. It's been very much accelerated with the pandemic. But for instance, I am the CEO of Beauty Barrage. Beauty Barrage is an outsourced sales force that goes into stores and helps retailers and beauty brands with education and with sell-through and events. Now, from the very beginning when we started this company, my people used to use have used, I should say, their social media from the get-go in how they communicate with their followers, because their followers, while they might be friends and family, and then any consumers that they may have met along the way in the stores, those are the people that follow them and know that they're the experts in retail and beauty. So they can really be guided by what this person is talking about. So they always use it. They unbox, they talk about what new brand they're representing. And that's how we have found that when there's not a lot of foot traffic, when they start posting and telling people that they're in store, that they're going to have like a great offer or something new for them to see, their followers come to see them. So absolutely, that's everything. And it's a huge part of what we do.
Thank you. It seems like the voice and the post, the activities of the brand itself in social media can also maybe initiate or carry that conversation in certain directions. Would you say that's true? Sonia? That the brand's activity itself in social media can help to elevate and drive that conversation?
Absolutely. I don't know who was it that just said it, but what we're seeing, we're in over 2,000 stores every day. So when people come in, when the consumer comes in, they already know what they want. They have earmarked it on their phone. They saw it from an influencer or maybe a really cool digital ad that was already done by the beauty brands, and they're coming in and they already know, and they're just trying to confirm with the person there that can help them to make sure that it's right for them, or if there's something else that they haven't seen. So Great. For sure.
Thank you. Thank you. And Rina, can you talk to us a little bit about Amazon and beauty and the importance of reviews that are posted to the decision to purchase?
Sure, absolutely. So as we know, reviews are one of the most critical key decision-making factors when it comes to buying online, but especially when it comes to Amazon. So I lead Amazon strategy for high-growth beauty brands at a media agency called Stella Rising. And we work with both existing brands as well as brand new brands who are looking to launch. And whether you're new or existing, reviews are absolutely incredibly important. Amazon shares that about 90% of consumers state that reviews influence their buying decisions. I think that speaks for everybody in this room, everybody who's watching this. So reviews on Amazon, essentially, they help impact your rank. So your rank is what we all are trying to increase on Amazon. It's really that number one. So your rank, it helps impact your search visibility. Your search visibility impacts your revenue impacts your rank, and then the flywheel just spins faster and faster. And reviews really are such a huge driver of that. So at Stella Rising, we actually have a proprietary community of beauty consumers. There are about 35,000 of them. It's called Glimmer. And these are just your everyday shoppers who love beauty like you and I. And we use this community for first-party research, first-party data, and we always do surveys and case studies on them. So every year we put out an annual path to purchase. We ask them where they're shopping, how they're feeling. And we just actually wrapped up the 2021 report, and we asked them, when they're shopping online, what kind of content are they looking for? And definitely not surprising, the number one piece of content that beauty consumers look for when shopping online is reviews. And I think we can all agree that, especially on Amazon, we've purchased something just because the reviews were out of this world. Maybe we didn't even read the description. We looked at the price, we looked at the reviews. I'll use Maybelline as an example because of, we have members at the panel here, but, looking at Maybelline, for example, their Sky High mascara, right? The one in the pink tube, I'm wearing it right now, but it has almost 60,000 reviews on Amazon.
Wow.
So really not surprising, it's not surprising it's one of the top. Last week, I ran out of my mascara. I usually wear L'Oreal, but I quickly searched mascara. The Maybelline one came up. Just looked at the reviews. 60,000 reviews, great price point. Bought it in a click. It was out before the next day. But that real life validation is critical in the consumer shopping journey, and they're really paying attention to the reviews out there.
Thank you. That's great. It seems like there's an element of trust that comes into play here. And I think particularly when we look at Gen Z and certain segments of consumers, they get very nervous, even maybe a little skeptical when people start coming at them with traditional selling and traditional marketing, where I think they're much more likely to trust the reviews they see that are posted. So understanding that becomes the priority, I could see where reviews could almost be a make or break. 60,000, that's quite a number. I'd like to talk a little bit about physical retail. We know physical retail, brick and mortar stores, they're not going to go away. But Sonia, as your agency, which really works with your partners to optimize the sales force, what advice would you give brands today? What are you sharing with them to connect with their customers in a store environment?
So we have everything built on our iPhones for our field team. So they have all of the tools necessary to gather that whatever data the brands want to know right after their shift is done. So we are able to give really great feedback to the clients, like right after each and every shift. And it goes right up to the cloud, and they go in and they see everything from photos to just how that shift went for them. What I would say for these any beauty brand going into retail is make sure that you actually have the right questions of what it is that you want to know about that the experience in store for any interaction with the consumer. So make sure that you've got to spend money on a digital campaign. Number one, you've got to lead them there. Being in stores just one spoke in the wheel, right? So you've got to have every single tool available. Make sure you're participating in all of the retailers' marketing. And even with going on to the AI experience and making sure that your brand is also in there, so that when someone wants to go in and see how a color will look like on their lips, they can actually just go on and play, make it a fun experience when they do go into store. And that's what we do when people come in. We act as, it's all about problem solution. We want to be the expert, but we're also having fun with them. And we're showing them all of the great tools that are available at the ready for them when they walk in. So
that's such a great point, Sonia. I think shopping for beauty should be fun, particularly when we're taking the time and making the investment in time to shop for beauty in a store. Given how much can actually be done digitally and online, do you think stores, Sonia, should pay attention to not just the professional skills, but the interpersonal skills of the people they're putting to interact with their customers in the stores? Don't you have to have some kind of people skills to make it fun?
Oh my gosh, for sure. Absolutely. So my team does go in and educate the associates every time they go in. But one of the things that we really do as well is that we create a lot of programs for retailers as well. And we do the education for the retailers too. We play a lot of games, and it's really about building with the consumer. It's all customer service at the end of the day. So as long as you make someone feel great when they leave, or just at the interaction that they had with you was so much, just makes, lifts them up. That's what we make sure that we're training them to do when they go into store.
I think also maybe in a digital world, it's a good time to sit down with the human resource people who are
Mhm.
hiring people into physical stores and retail spaces and say it's time to get away from, will you work these strange long hours? Will you work till 1 a.m. on the Friday after Thanksgiving? And will you do it for $9 an hour? Maybe we need to move beyond those kind of hiring criteria and look at a different profile we're trying to bring into beauty and physical retail. Do you ever have those kind of challenges or conversations?
We are definitely not anywhere near minimum wage. We pay very well. All of the people that work for me are my employees. So, and they all have benefits and they all get PTO, and we don't, people tell us, they give us their schedule and we accommodate them that way. So we do treat our people very, very well. I think it's very important. The people that we have are all experts. They're beauty experts. We level set everything. We don't care if you came from a cosmetology school or if you used to work out of Sephora. We still bring it all the way back down to Beauty 101. We teach you about the makeup of the skin. We also teach you about application for color, cosmetics. We teach you about the science of hair, everything. And then every month they get trained on whatever brand they're working with. And they also get sales and relationship coaching so that they understand. And it's always about, again, problem solution and building those relationships. We definitely don't push anybody.
Yeah.
So education sells. It really, really does. So we really just educate the consumer as well as the retailer on what the products are. And we have been award winning. Our people are really, really great. They get asked to come back. So we've kind of cracked the nut and we kind of know how to do it.
Great. Well, I love the way you talk about making beauty fun. That's really what it's all about, right?
Yes.
Oleg and Dominica, whether we're online or in real life, you're tasked with understanding trends and providing direction on how brands should communicate with consumers in various spaces. Can you each talk about your role and how you provide support in this area of trends? Dominica, maybe you could get us started.
Sure. So with my particular role, I provide guidance on trends and future products, future things that are happening, consumer insights to all parts of the Maybelline brand. So, I'm lucky I get to work with Oleg for ideas in that realm, product ideas for the marketing team, and then the full brand experience team. So that could be communications, in-store retail, the website, social media, and things like that. So within that role, what I've noticed is we've really had to start thinking about everything really holistically. And, maybe 5-6 years ago, you'd sort of start thinking about a product as, this new lipstick, and that's where you start. But now you're really thinking about maybe the digital experience first, or, really thinking about it all at once. So I'll just give you an example since Rina brought up Sky High earlier, and I'm so happy you're wearing it today. With Sky High, several years ago, and this is before we had TikTok here, so, maybe 4 years ago, I noticed there was a bunch of these kind of weird little viral videos of people doing these really long lash things, and they were like cutting the lashes because they were so long. And, that was a little like weird and funny, but I presented that to the team for one of my trend presentations. And I said, I think it's funny, but, these videos are going viral, and, maybe long lashes are kind of the direction it's heading. And you have to think at the time, this is Instagram makeup. Lash looked very volume, and it was long, but it was really thick volume was what was really trendy at the time. And then once TikTok came here, maybe a couple years ago, one of the first beauty trends that we saw on TikTok was, I call this TikTok lashes. Like, people were cocktailing different mascaras together to create these very long lashes, but the volume was kind of much more natural than what we were seeing for the lash trends at the time. So I noticed that consumers were doing one mascara for volume, one mascara for length. And that kind of solidified that journey that we were taking into this lengthening trend. And then also with that knowledge that consumers they're really showing off these beautiful lash transformations with their mascara on TikTok, that also solidified the decision to really make this mascara big on TikTok. And that is another part of the ingredients for the success of this phenomenal viral hit of Sky High mascara.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Dominica. Oleg, is there anything you would like to add?
Sure. Well, in my specific role, I'm in charge of the product look and the graphic look for the brand. And I just want to add that today the consumer interacts with the product in so many ways on so many channels, and you can't really have a one size fits all. So, for instance, I'm going to go with the flow and use Sky High as an example. The way we shoot Sky High for the advertising with our agency is one way. It's like very heroic and polished. And then the way it's shown on social media, it's completely different, even though you carry the same idea of the same product. So you have to customize for your audience and for your channels. So sometimes it's a little DIY, sometimes it's super polished, but you have to kind of make it very specific to what you're doing. You can't just take one formula and apply it throughout, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and it means that the brands must really take a moment and understand each channel, the opportunities it presents, maybe some of the risk that channel might present, but particularly understand that particular channel and tailor the message in that way.
Yeah, you can't be on autopilot.
Exactly. I'd like to turn for a moment to sampling in the beauty industry and how that's changed in the future of shopping. Currently in the beauty industry, it seems samples are 2 times as common as the products they actually sell. They're sampling twice as much. And testers and trying on were a staple in how the industry has brought consumers and enticed them to purchase. Now with COVID, we're so careful about what we touch or take into a trial. Rina, Sonia, what opportunities do you see to come over this we can't sample anymore kind of issue? Rina, could you get us started there?
Sure, absolutely. And Daniel, I completely agree with you. Consumer behavior has certainly shifted since COVID. I haven't touched the tester in almost 2 years. So rather than testing in store, really the industry is moving towards sample distribution, as you mentioned. And in that same study that I spoke about previously, when we asked the beauty consumer, where they're learning about beauty products for the very first time, we were not surprised that the number 2 answer, so over 50% of people said receiving a sample, right? The number 1 was social media, definitely no surprise there. But one of the most fascinating sampling opportunities, and I actually just learned about this a few weeks ago, so I'm excited to share it with you all. So one of the most fascinating sample opportunities in the market today is actually through audio. So there's a new program that recently launched in the industry. It's called Send Me a Sample, that sends samples to customers at home through voice. So a beauty brand can opt in to become part of the program. They work with either Alexa or a Google Assistant to deliver samples to the customer's home through voice. So Amazon actually was pitching it to some of our brands. They've already worked with some of the biggest beauty brands, right? So Estee Lauder, Clarins, La Mer have all done this. It's still fairly new. We haven't launched it for any of our brands just yet, but thinking about it, to see if it's right for them. So I tried this out last night as I was prepping for this. I asked Alexa to send me a sample. She did not have any, she's like listening and wanting to speak. She didn't have any skincare or cosmetics to send me, but she did have fragrance to send me. So she ended up sending me a Gabrielle Chanel Essence fragrance. And it'll be here, in 2 days. And all of that was done through audio. So really seamless experience. It took me about 30 seconds to do the whole thing. But it really is fascinating, because when we think about testing and sampling and how that's moving towards that at-home experience, and audio is just one of those innovative ways.
It's wonderful, and it's something the client can do for themselves, right? It's something they can manage.
Right, exactly.
Great. Sonia, as you work with your partners, how have you dealt with this issue of testers and trials and getting to know products?
Well, what's really interesting is that right after right in the middle of the pandemic, I feel like we're still in the pandemic anyway, but right after March with the shutdown, and then they started to open up retail again, like end of July, August, and we were out there, and the testers were all wrapped up, right? You can't even touch them. And if you recall, for many beauty brands in retail, you stopped making a lot of paquettes. It was more like the retailers wanted deluxe samples. So most of the beauty brands have these deluxe samples, and of course in limited quantities because they all have, they're all in different programs and as such, but no paquettes. So now you're in store and nobody has paquettes. So now what we did, and to be honest with you, I think that this was probably the one gold nugget that my team was able to receive during this time frame, was that we walked in with the very limited paquettes that we did have, or our own testers that we cleaned and showed and whatever was okay to use. But we didn't touch the consumer for the first time. We didn't sit them down and say, oh my God, your hair looks so nice. How many kids do you have? Your hair is like great texture, you smell so great, and you're starting to build that relationship, and that's how it happens in store. Well, this time we can't touch them. So now it's like, here's a paquette, now watch me mimic what I am doing. And as you know, first you warm it up in your hand, and then you start patting it, and you go in circular motion. And you know what you're feeling right now? That cooling sensation is this ingredient. You know what that's going to do in lifting and da 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 da. You're going to go really into every single ingredient, really talk to them about what they're feeling and the sensation. There's going to be that recall for the consumer. So when they go home, they are not thinking about returning. They're thinking about what a cool experience they just had with you in store. They learned so much. It wasn't about their hair or their shoes or whatever. We all like to hear that, but still, it was more about the education. And so now we're still doing that. And I can tell you, all the store testers are out again. And everybody has paquettes, but it's really, really something that we're continuing to do so that they're doing for themselves. So they're experiencing it, and they're going to remember how to use it, what's in it, and it just builds a better connection. And it's been working really, really well for us.
That sounds like a great solution and a great way to make the product, the full benefits of the product available to the customer through that demonstration. And there's also an entertainment value to that, isn't there?
Absolutely. And still a big connection.
Great. It kind of brings us back to that whole conversation too we had about reviews and word of mouth and social media and what people are saying about things. In the absence of actually physically trying and testing, maybe that trust factor in reviews and social media also comes back into play. What do you think? Rina, would you agree with that?
I would, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, it's all about getting the consumer's trust one way or another.
Great. So I'd like to throw this out for everyone. Our topic is the future of shopping for beauty. Right now, we're seeing in Asia a tremendous explosion of live stream shopping. It's proven to be very successful in that marketplace. And we've seen the beginnings of that trend growing up here in the United States. Forever, we've had people like QVC and the Home Shopping Network playing into that live streaming platform for selling. But we're just beginning to see the opportunity doors open for beauty. I'd like to ask each of you, how do you see live stream shopping playing into beauty sales? Do you think it's a growth venue? And do you think it will somehow build on the success of someone like a QVC or an HSN? Could anyone get us started? Dominica, what do you think about live stream shopping?
So I can tell you that everybody in the beauty industry is thinking about this topic right now. I can't tell you exactly how it's going to net out, because I think the concept of live stream, when we separate it from the QVCs and kind of look at what's happening in China, it's a bit new to us. So I will say the reason we're all kind of obsessing about it is within 5 years span in China, live stream shopping has taken off like a rocket. It was becoming very popular before the pandemic. And then, of course, with a lot of these trends, it was accelerated by the pandemic. It now has a 10% market share. So this has gotten people very intrigued because there's a financial aspect. And it's also being called one of the most creative new ways to think about retail. So I think that there's a lot of interest there. We're seeing retailers entering this. So one retailer who's great about their digital transformation is Nordstrom, and doing live streams and things like that. I think that's a little bit more similar to like a QVC, where it's got great production and it's branded. But at the same time, while we see retailers and brands that are dabbling in with the live streaming, we're also seeing these upstart platforms like Newness is an example, Super Great. Ulta's actually just now partnering with Super Great. and Lit Live is another one. And these platforms, some of them are a bit quite raw, almost like it reminds me of TikTok. It's like a person in front of their camera trying on something and talking about it. So it doesn't have that production value. And I think that there's something about that authenticity. And I can just imagine some of these people becoming kind of some of the beauty influencers that we see on TikTok that are kind of raw and unpolished, and you sort of believe them because it's not like overly produced and branded. So I think we're seeing these two factions kind of setting up, and it'll be interesting to see which version or combination of versions kinds of end up playing out in the US market.
That's a very interesting observation, Dominica. You're saying that live streaming can almost feel more authentic, more real, and less like some kind of a picture-perfect, polished marketing push coming at people. It feels more like a natural experience. That's a very interesting observation. Oleg, would you like to pick up on that for a moment and share your thoughts on live streaming?
Sure, absolutely. I'll add to Dominica's great point by speaking a bit from a product perspective. And I think the question that you will have to continue to ask yourself is, does your product look covet-worthy in this kind of a setting? So yes, sure, you can make your product look gorgeous in a controlled environment and make it look super polished. But does it stand up in a less produced environment? And I think you have to come up with a positive answer to that before you finalize your product design. Does it look like it's a high quality product? Does it look beautiful? And does it also communicate your brand's meaning and your points? And also in a basic way, can you see the name? Does it look differentiated enough? So you have to keep asking yourself all these questions because it's
I love that point. Live streaming is a completely different perspective on the product and invites a completely different level of scrutiny. And that's such a good call out to think about it before you just step into that environment, how the product will be seen. Rina, is there anything you could share in terms of how you're thinking about live streaming?
Sure, absolutely. I can speak to it from an Amazon standpoint, and just like, everybody that Dominica and Oleg just mentioned, Amazon has also, jumped on the live stream bandwagon. So in the past few years, they launched a program called Amazon Live. So you guessed it. If it's like Amazon and QVC had a baby, it would be this. So they're essentially leveraging their own set of hosts and influencers to showcase their products through shoppable video. So you can shop directly from the live stream, and the video drives straight to the detail page. So this allows you to create this real-time, real-life brand interaction, a little personal, like Dominica mentioned, in which you're engaging with your customers through a chat feature, right? So Q&A, there's a chat feature, and beauty actually has been one of Amazon's key focuses for this program. They usually have an event like once a month, and so many of these events have been beauty focused. They've launched several of them. They're called Beauty Hall Live. My brands have participated in several of them, and essentially they're using those influencers. They're showcasing the products. They're oftentimes paired with a promotion. So they say, shop my code, Rina25, and it goes straight into the checkout to then entice that purchase. Just as some examples, when Lady Gaga, she launched House Labs on Amazon, and when J.Lo launched J.Lo Beauty on Amazon, they both leveraged Amazon Live as part of their launch strategy. I'm not saying it's right for everyone. It definitely has a big ticket attached to it. It's, $70,000 on minimum, depending on what you are signing up with Amazon, but definitely more of that upper funnel, brand awareness driving strategy, but definitely worth learning about as part of your growth strategy to see if it makes sense for the brand.
Thank you so much, Rina. That's a lot of information to share. Thank you very much. And Sonia, how about your experience with live streaming? Where do you see that playing into the future of shopping?
Well, we do that a lot now for when some of our people go into retail, and we'll do it there, and we'll permission with the retailer, and it's worked wonders for us. I think the important thing, whether it's QVC, whether it's someone that's unknown, or if it's an influencer, at the end of the day, it's about entertaining, it's about education. So if it could be the most raw looking background or whatever, but as long as that person is credible, very entertaining, they're gonna win. So I think QVC knows how to do that with the audience that they had, which is much older. Now we're talking about a much younger audience. And if they do want to capture that, which of course they do, then they've got to figure out a way to play with that younger set that's going to be doing that. But super credible, very, very fun and exciting to watch. It's going to give you little pearls of wisdom to go away with, that you're going to want to stay tuned and watch this person for. So it's not going away. It's going to be just like influencer explosion that we're seeing. So exactly. It's beauty. It's just another platform we have to get used to.
Yeah, and it's almost like the point we were making earlier, that in this age, you really have to know each of the venues, each of the channels that's available to you, and learn the opportunities and risks they present. And I think live streaming is just another platform to explore, right? And decide if it's right for your brand.
It absolutely is. I can tell you right now, we're also, because with the pandemic and the acceleration of everything going digitally, we have started to do live chat and being beauty advisors on, the e-com site. So we have also had those, interactions with the consumer where they want to learn, and get the information from a credible source, someone who understands and can help them with the problem solution. This is just another way to do it. And it's kind of more fun because it's a little bit of entertainment at the same time. I see it all in the same, like I said, different platform. It's all beauty and it's all what the consumer's looking for.
Thank you. I love the way we keep coming back to entertainment and education. And I think both of those two things go together very well. And it's a good place to be as we think about the future of shopping. Yeah. I'd like to take a moment and hear from each of you. Our students here at SCAD are very interested in careers in beauty and how you actually break into the industry. Could you tell us from your perspective the skills that are necessary for a student to target a career in beauty or step forward to build a career? Dominica, could you start us with that conversation, maybe the skills they would need?
Sure. I think first and foremost, it's important to be open to learning a broad set of skills, so you will have knowledge, a broad knowledge base to go in and to be able to try different types of jobs. You want to be kind of eligible for maybe more than one specific job, for example. So, make sure you learn a lot about digital. Make sure you learn about the product side. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know a lot about beauty products, like going into this industry. So it's very helpful to understand what's out there, understand how people are interacting with it, to actually understand how products work, how makeup works, skincare, etc. To come in with that base knowledge is very helpful. And then the most important thing I would say is to really be obsessive about understanding consumers at every level. What are consumers concerned about right now? How are they behaving with brands online? How are they putting beauty products online on TikTok, things like that? So I think really one of the most fundamental things to make you successful in this industry is to kind of know your consumer, love your consumer, and kind of know where your consumer's headed.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And Rina, could you share maybe some of your thoughts on careers in the beauty industry?
Sure. I think it definitely also depends on your field of work. I'll caveat with that. So I come from the Amazon industry. I come from, the agency world. And I think there's a certain level of, hard skills that'll really help you succeed there. I remember when I interviewed for my very first job out of college, it was at Macy's, and the interview asked me my experience with Excel, and my answer was Excel is my best friend. And I was so embarrassed that I said that, but looking back at it now, Excel should be one of your best friends, so especially in the industry. So I would say when it comes to hard skills, definitely, the entire Microsoft Office suite, Excel being one of them. But just looking at, in the digital marketing space, certificates, Google Analytics, Google AdWords, the Amazon advertising certifications, those are all highly valuable. I'm constantly looking to hire, that next Amazon expert on my team. So that level of understanding the strategy, the algorithm, the platform are all things I look for. Great. And then on the soft skills, definitely someone analytical. I'm an ex-Amazonian, and at Amazon, data is the core of all of our decisions. So definitely someone analytical, accountable, and adaptable. No industry moves as quickly as the beauty industry. So we're looking for someone who's passionate, who's willing to learn, and someone who can keep up.
That's terrific. Thank you so much, Rina. Oleg, what would you say about careers in beauty?
Sure. I'll speak for the future or for the current designer looking to work in beauty specifically. I think you have to be able to think beyond the screen, particularly if you're working on product design. So, but also on other activations. Like think about the experience overall and what it means to be interacting with what you're proposing and what you're designing. It's great, especially for a junior role, to know as many technical skills as possible and to know a variety of tools and to know them well and to be able to use them. But you also need to think beyond that. Like you're not a technician, so you can use something well and know how to use it, but think how to gear these tools to a great purpose. And always, I think in any field, I think it's great to be a critical thinker, to facilitate human exchange, and to understand like the broad objectives of the business, like what are we trying to achieve as a team, to be able to do competitive research, to know the field, like what are the other brands in this space, and to be in a broad way very resilient, and also enthusiasm goes a long way. Enthusiasm for the brand, enthusiasm for the field. So to be passionate about something.
You just use a word I like a lot, resilience. Sometimes, I say to students, it's not enough to test for a career in beauty. You have to determine you want a career in beauty. You have to make that conscious choice and then ride through the ups and downs along the way and know that there's nothing that works better than that resilience and that commitment you've made to that industry. So I loved hearing that word. Thank you.
And it's a great choice. It's a great career in beauty is excellent.
Absolutely. And Sonia, I'd love to hear your thoughts on careers.
So I always say it's beauty, but it's not pretty. So that's the first thing that you have to remember. It's a job. There's a lot of things that you have to do that aren't always beautiful or sexy or what you thought the job was going to be. But it's seriously fun, and you've got to be very, very passionate. And the more that you know about what all of the roles within the industry are and where you want to go, whether it's like building the product, that's super fun, right? So there's product development, there's supply chain and operations, because if that piece isn't working, nobody else does anything else. Nothing happens for beauty. Then there's marketing. You get to tell the story, and it's so much fun. And then you see if this campaign worked or that didn't work. And you're trying to learn everything that you can about the consumer. There's sales, and they really know a lot about the consumer because they're right there, right? And then so it's all of these different pieces and PR and all of that you should get as much knowledge as possible, especially that financial piece that Rina was talking about too, because that makes you dangerous. The more you know about all these, you're going to be dangerous. Let me tell you, I started in marketing back in the day at Avon. I'm not even going to tell you how old I am, but I was in the marketing role there, and I was, working in branding and all of that other stuff. And I never thought I would be doing sales. Today, I own the only source that you would ever use to go into store, and that we are best in class. And I've been on Inc. 500. I mean, you can do whatever it is that you want if you put your mind to it, and if you use all of the resources available to you. And what you don't know, you can figure it out too and learn it. Everything is out there for you. I'm just telling you that. It's so fun. I love beauty, and I'm crazy enough that I just started my own skincare brand during the pandemic. So
that's great.
There's a lot of things in here.
That's great. I'd like to see if we get some questions, if there's any questions coming through in the chat. I'd like to give students a chance to ask a question. And I'm going to give that just a quick second to see if we have questions coming through. If not, I'd just like to wrap up the future of shopping by just asking you, how do you feel about the future for the industry? Do you see this as a growth industry? Do you see more opportunities coming, important to people's lifestyles? Does anyone have thoughts on, is the future bright? Dominica, how about your
I'll
thoughts?
jump in. I'll jump in. It is bright. I think we've seen just the way that beauty has rebounded incredibly as things have opened up. Like I was saying in the beginning, people are going back to stores. We saw lipstick sales just take off like a rocket once we had mask mandates lifted. Beauty is something that makes us feel good. And what we're seeing in a broad consumer trend is a lot of consumers are dialing back. We see like the rise of people buying resale fashion instead of new fashion. But that's not something that you can necessarily do with beauty. And so I think the more we position beauty products as something that makes you feel good and confident and well, it'll kind of transcend from just a product to something that's completely experiential as well. And I think that that's part of our bright future.
I think that's so true. And I know we've talked today in the summit about rethinking gender and beauty and opening the doors to more inclusivity, to bringing in a larger audience of people into the world of beauty. Is that also part of the opportunity? What do you think? Oleg, how do you think about, getting away from some of the old guardrails and the gender definitions and opening up beauty to the broader audience?
Yeah, I think, definitely we're seeing a merger, even from, design standpoint. There's a merger of codes that we're seeing. So it's not so like clear cut. This is for one gender, this is for another gender. There's an overlap, and it's a really positive development, and we're happy to see that. And we're shifting even slowly away from masculine and feminine designations for different designs. And I'm very happy to see that happen.
I think that has the potential to really create some explosive opportunity. Rina, how do you see the future of shopping for beauty? Are you optimistic?
Sure. I think optimistic would be an understatement. I think that, bright, absolutely bright. But the thing about beauty is it's an emotional category, similar to what Dominica mentioned, but it's also a replenishment category. And I think that's what sets us apart from every other category. In one of the earlier panels, I believe it was, B. Shapiro, she talked about, coming from the fashion industry. And I come from the fashion industry. And nothing against it, but, fashion, I really only need X amount of black boots. I have thousands, but when it comes to the beauty industry, it's a replenishable category. Yes. And the consumer will always need more. So how are we looking to innovate? How are we looking to continue to keep the consumer engaged? But also, how are we looking to differentiate our brands? There are tens of thousands of brands out there. So what sets your brand apart and what sets your product apart? So I think that the future is unpredictable. We don't even know. And in 5 years, we'll be looking back at this conversation and seeing a completely different picture. And that's what excites me.
Wonderful. And Sonia, how are you feeling about the future? How does it look for you?
I agree with Rina. I agree with everyone. They say they didn't leave anything left. There was nothing left for me to tell you. But I can say that I feel that the beauty industry has led the way in inclusivity. Anyway, we always have. We've always been, because of how we make people feel, and we're able to, have that much power to do that, and that's exciting for any one of us in the industry. So
that's great. The beauty industry touches people in a very personal way. That's unlike so many areas of style, and I think that also creates an incredible place for it in the culture and in people's lives. So thank you very much. I see we're running out of time. I just want to thank everyone for participating in the panel. What great information you've shared, what great insights. Thank you for making time out of your schedules. I know you're leaders and very busy people. I'm going to now kind of turn things back for a wrap up for some few final words. Manuel, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you all for attending a special presentation of SCAD Beauty and Business presented by Guest and Gusto. Thank you to all of our amazing panelists today. What a remarkable insight and knowledge it has been in the beauty industry. To learn more about the Business of Beauty and Fragrance program and SCAD, visit www.scad.edu. Have a great day, everyone.